Hello and welcome to the July 2022 wrap-up. My name is Annette and this is Project Refine Life. If you're new here, I appreciate you being here, and if you are returning, oh my goodness, I'm so thankful for you guys. I really appreciate you going along on this journey with me as I kind of open up and talk about my practice and just show you all the things. Thank you so much for being here. So before we go any further, we are going to talk very briefly about June. If you will look back at my content, you will realize that there is no June 2022 wrap-up, and that is because I didn't do it. That is about it. July is was a very hectic and preoccupying type of month for me. My girls went back to school in July, and just preparing for them going back to school, getting all the things that are necessary for them to have a smooth transition back into school takes up a lot of time. In addition to that, July marks the 17th anniversary of when I lost my son. So this was a really tough year for me, being that this point forward, he would have been gone from my life longer than he was present with me. I know he's always nearby and he is always with me, but I miss hearing him laugh. I miss his guitar. I miss his smile and his jokes. So it was a tough month, but here we are in August and just stepping forward and continuing the work. So we are going to address the June things in this video. In June, we really didn't do too much as far as traveling or things of that nature. However, in July, we did go to the Frida Kahlo immersive exhibit. I love Frida and all things Frida. I love this woman so much. She really did a lot for women, and I wonder if she knows, or she knew rather at that time, how much of an effect she would have on women today and people in general. She was just a force, just wonderful force. So this exhibit went ahead and went through her whole lifetime, where she was born, about her parents. So I knew all of that stuff already, but my girls were able to see it. And I want my girls to understand the importance of Frida and how the things that you can do in your life can truly make a difference. Even if you think you're just doing them for you and in the moment, there's a greater impact. And Frida is a perfect example of that. The immersive exhibit was life history of Frida, and one hall would just have this beautiful exhibit just showing pictures and clips and things, and it was just a nice day for the family. That is the month at a glance as far as things that we did. Books. In June, I didn't read any books. However, well, I kind of did, and I'll share that with you in just a moment. But in July, this was really my only book that I kind of read through, and it is Earth Medicines. I've had this book for a few months. The author is Felicia Cotesin Ruiz, and she is a local curandera here in our area, here in Arizona. And this book is all about ancestral wisdom, healing, recipes, and wellness rituals. She addresses this book from the standpoint of the earth elements. So the book goes through in a little bit of a different order. So it is divided into water, air, earth, and fire. And she just shares simple recipes and rituals. It's not really a cookbook, but there are some very healing recipes in here. So everything that she included in here is for a purpose. As an example, she has the hydrating skin food, where she goes over face mask, but then on the next page, it's a radish platter. But everything is from source and everything comes with a purpose. And so it's all divided into the elements, which I just love so much. And here we have a cucumber aloe vera medicine water. Just beautiful recipes. And if you go into most, like Mexican markets, sometimes if they have the agua frescas, you're going to see the cucumber aloe vera waters. But this just brings it in with a little bit more intention. So it's just a beautiful book, and just filled with gorgeous pictures. And I believe she's working on another book. So, and then this one here, Mayan tea to calm the mind. There are all kinds of beautiful recipes in here and beautiful rituals, and everything is set with intention. So just a gorgeous book. Now, another book that I've been reading and practicing with back and forth from June and in July and still today is the Ecstatic Body Postures, which is kind of the accompanying book to the Ritual Postures Oracle. And that is a deck that I purchased in July. So we'll go over that, or June rather, I'm sorry. That came into my collection in June. So we'll go over that in just a little bit. But this, oh, see, I got a, I have a sticker in there from one of my decks, from Little Darkness. But these postures are all about going into a meditative state and using some drumming in the background so that way you can come into this posture. And I haven't done a full walkthrough of that deck and this book and the way that I'm utilizing it, but that will be coming, I don't know if this month, but maybe next month, because that is a really deep study for me. So other books that came into my collection here in July, I have a stack here. So this is the Ritual as Remedy, and this came into my collection in June by Mara Branscombe. Now, Mara Branscombe is a yogi, and she does ceremony, and I really like her style. What first brought me to the attention of Mari was as a yoga teacher, and I loved the way that she taught because it is very similar to the way that I teach, where it's more of yoga as a ritual as well. So she talks here about just harnessing, and I'm going to read from a little quote here, harnessing the power of imagery and poetry. She shows how ritual can serve a way to ground yourself, invite the new, let go of what needs to be shed, and tap into your own personal powers. I haven't read the book so far. I have it in, but like I said, there's a lot of things new into my library, so it will sit and I will get to this book. Now the next one, I found this book at a thrift shop, and I just love my little thrift shop deals. See, it was $3.29, and it is Mexico, a biography of power, history of modern Mexico from 1810 to 1996. And this is another one, again, that will probably just stay out and I'll just glance at from time to time. This one I found, and I was really, really excited about it, Women's Rituals by Barbara Walker. Now, I don't have Barbara's deck, but I think it would be cool to read this and get the deck so that way I can kind of work along with it while working with the deck. But I'm anxious to tap into that one. Now, another book that I bought was Tending to the Sacred, Rituals to Connect to Earth, Spirit, and Self. She also has a deck that I will go over with you in just a little while. So again, another one to add to my collection of things to read. VRs. I did no VRs in June, but July I did do one, and it was really, really good. I really loved this VR. This was done by The Waves of Your Soul, and this was all about the decks that make you feel good. My number one is the Gentle Tarot. When I feel good, when I don't feel good, I'm always in the mood to use this deck. And this is the deck that I come to for comfort, or if I'm feeling good. Like, I love, love, love this deck. But there's tons of decks on there that I shared that make me feel good. And one of the things that I noted was that one of the things that really makes me feel good about working with a deck is anytime that I can tap into that ancestral medicine. That has a big impact on me. So check it out. I'll put a link here. Journals, crystals, tools. Now my journal, I don't even want to share it. I'm kind of embarrassed, guys, because look at how pretty that is. Yeah, but you know what? There was a lot of, see, like here, well, this is for July, but there was a lot of journaling going on, sometimes here and sometimes off the book because sometimes I just need to write it down in my computer and just let it sit there. Those are special entries that don't really come into the book. But there's been no art going on. There's been no postings of my draws. I just haven't been into that portion of it. Let's talk tools. So I didn't buy any tools. However, in June, I bought these two lovely Peggy bags, but these are the two envelope or two folder, I can't remember the name, but it's for a book and the deck, and I'll show you in just a little bit. Now, one tool that I bought in July, and I almost made it. I almost made it, guys, without not buying one thing. But in walks Tara into yoga last Saturday, and she walked in with this Veracruz amethyst. Now, her intention was just to kind of film it, but I was like, film it and let me see it. And as soon as I looked at it and touched it, I love Veracruz amethyst, let me just say that. But this thing is so lovely. I hope that you can see some of this. There is a little bit of a rainbow in here, and there's all these beautiful formations on the sides. This thing is just such a joy to work with. I haven't had it in that long, but I did sit down with it and program it, and I've been working with it. And at the bottom, I don't know if you can see. Let's see if I can get in here. There we go. See those little formations on the bottom as well? This is just such a beautiful, beautiful crystal. Now, I never thought that I would have a Veracruz amethyst in that size, because I have a few, and these are a little gemmier, but they're different, right? So I do, as you can see, yeah, I do have a few. Uh-oh, and one of my little things fell off. Oh no. But they're all these beautiful little pieces, as you can see. And this is really what I thought that I would always have, are just these tiny little pieces. And they're extremely delicate and just really gemmy. So as you can, let me, oops, you know what? I think like every single video, it's just like I have to tap the camera. I mean, it's just, here we go. See that little one? It fell off from one of these. I'm not quite sure. But truthfully, Veracruz is an expensive crystal, but I love working with Veracruz amethyst. It's highly meditative, and it really gets you into that beta state quickly, but it's gentle. It's not like a big switch, like quick. It gets you there quick, but it's not a rough transition. It's really, really sweet and helps you meditate with spirits and guides and all that beautiful stuff. But look at the size comparison, like seriously. I picked these up in Tucson, and then this is from James over at Light of Raga, and I just absolutely am loving this Veracruz amethyst. I never thought that I would have a point of this size in Veracruz amethyst. Didn't even think that it was possible at the price point that I got it at. Just beautiful. So I will leave his link below so you can check out his shop. And then one more little thing that I got here, and it was a beautiful little gift from James over at Light of Raga as well. Let me try to hold it up. There we go. This is a chlorite quartz cluster, and this is from Pakistan, and it has this beautiful green chlorite on it. And again, another fantastic tool for meditation and working with the heart, and working also with our beautiful Mama Gaia. Just wonderful, wonderful to work with. And this is tiny but mighty. Let's talk about what everybody really wants, and that is the decks that came into my collection and the decks that were used. So I'm not going to talk about the decks that I used in June, because that would just be bananas, but I am going to talk about the decks that came into my collection. So in June, I received the Ancient Ritual Postures Oracle, the Ritual Tarot, the Infinite Wisdom of the Chakras Oracle, the Baroque Tarot, and the Radiant Crystals deck. Let's talk about what came into my collection in July. The Messages from the Heart of the Divine, which is by the same author as Tending to the Sacred. So there will be a walkthrough coming on this deck. I know this may be surprising, guys, but I did not have this deck prior to July. I got the Tarot Avatara in, and that is just one of my favorite decks. So I thought I really don't need this one because the energies look very familiar and very much the same, but this is such a different deck. For one, the Tarot Avatara is more based on the Thoth system, and this is a RWS deck. The art is beautiful. I love her art. And this guidebook, now I haven't really worked with the deck. I've just kind of been looking at the guidebook, and my goodness, this guidebook is amazing. It's a beautiful, beautiful guidebook. One more deck that came into my collection is this one right here. And this, oh my goodness, guys, I can't even put this thing down. This is the Tantric Dakini Oracle. I did a walkthrough. I'll include the link down below. So let's get into the decks that I used throughout the month of July. So this one right here, this deck, I just can't even seem to put it down. Now I house this in my beautiful Peggy bag. It comes all wrapped up. I can secure it. And this is the 2-pocket bag. And the reason that I love this for this deck is because it came with this booklet that is bigger, but it is a booklet. It doesn't have a cover that will sustain any type of abuse or me putting it with the other books. So I really wanted to make sure that it was protected. So I got a Peggy bag for it, and I love housing it in there. This deck, oh my goodness, guys, I adore this deck. Seriously, I know I say that a lot, but this deck, it's in there with like my top decks. It made it almost instantly. This deck has been amazing to work with. Some of the decks that I have been working with it alongside are the Tantric Dakini. So I'll just do a little side-by-side of how they look together. Oh my goodness, guys, these are really, really good together. I love I love this one. This one is another one that I just have not been able to put down since I got it. Another deck that I have been working with along with the Ritual Tarot is the Ancient Ritual Postures. And this again comes out of one of my little Peggy bags where I'm able to house the book, which is a full-size book in the back. And then in the front, I have my Ancient Ritual Postures. And this I've been using more as an oracle deck, but working with the postures as they come up. So I draw one and then working with the postures, and then above and beyond working with it or in a reading, I've been working, of course, with this deck alone just to go through the postures. So like one posture a week is what I'm doing, and then reading the accompanying book that I shared with you earlier. So next month I'll do a full walkthrough of this deck. But I love the way that these two work together. And you know what? You may think that this is not really an oracle deck to work with, but I am here to tell you that it is so good as far as an oracle deck is concerned. It really does work. If you read it and just kind of meditate on it for a moment, it is a slower paced deck. So if you're looking for something to work with in a hurry, that might not be the one, because it does require a little bit of slowing down. And really, if you think about it, that's what we're supposed to be doing with these decks anyways. We're supposed to be slowing down a little bit and just taking note. Okay, another deck that I worked with alongside the Ritual Tarot is the Dirt Gems. And again, Dirt Gems is one of my all-time favorites. I love the medicine that's included in this deck. It is just stunning. I love the simplicity of the art, and I love the deep colors. You know, I don't know why, but this is a vibrant deck. I should have included this within my vibrant decks, and I didn't. There is one more. I worked also with, and I mentioned this deck a lot because this deck is just such a wonderful deck. It's a very shamanic deck. I didn't really like the colors, but I love the foundations of this deck alongside the Ritual Tarot, because this deck is very deep and it is very ritualistic as well. So these two worked very well together. One of the pairings that I did was the Spirit Keepers Tarot, which is just a lovely book, or not book. I'm thinking about the book because I finally ordered the book of maps and it came in and it's frightening. I'm just gonna say it. It's frightening. It's a humongous book, like crazy humongous book. It's upstairs. I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know if I can do that right now. So I just put it upstairs and it's just gonna have to wait a little bit because there's a lot that I'm studying right now. But I have been working with the deck a little bit. And in particular, Tara over at Kittens Waits and Tarot on Sundays, she does a live and everybody pulls their decks and works along with her in a spread. So I did my weekly reading along with her in her live and it worked really well, especially alongside the energy arcology. And this deck is just, oh my goodness, this deck is so beautiful. And see, there's some tags that I need to do because this is one of those irreplaceable decks that I never did the video response to, but I really need to because this deck is just amazing. I love working with this deck. And it was nice to be able to pair it up with that deck because they're both detailed and structured and it had a really good feel working side by side. Next is the Serpent Fire Tarot, and I don't remember if I did a walkthrough on this deck or not, but the Serpent Fire Tarot is another deck that I've been working pretty closely with since I got it, and one of those decks as well that has really made an impact on my practice and just the way that I read tarot. You can see the fan going in the reflection there. Sorry guys, but again, I'm in Arizona. We have our monsoons and it's kind of sticky today. But I paired it up with the Ancient Ritual Postures, which I liked. It was okay, not great, but it was just okay. I do have some ideas to pair that up with a few other decks, but I haven't tried them yet. But this again is one of those beautiful decks that will forever have a home within my collection of decks. Tarot Avatara. Now, you know what? I was fighting myself in another video about how to say this, but truthfully, it sounds almost sarcastic when I try to say Tarot Avatara, because I have to really slow down in order to say it, and it just doesn't sound right. It sounds like I'm saying a bad word or something. But this deck, as you know, is just such a beautiful deck. And this deck, what I did with it this month is I really used it to help me get through the grief that I was experiencing in July. Because, you know, Frida is such a force, and we did go to the Frida exhibit, so I really did call on Frida's strength this month, or last month in July, just to kind of pull me through and get some of those rough times and days, and knowing all that she endured, it kind of helped me to know that she was there for me. There's no other way to put it. And of course, always, along with that grief is the Gentle Tarot, which I have shown a gazillion times because I love that deck so much. So alongside the Tarot Avatara, I did also work with the Seeds of Shakti. This is this beautiful little palm-sized deck, and I just like the pop of colors between the two. I like the way that they look with one another. The subjects are a little bit different, but the overall message and support that you get from both of them is really good. Another favorite that I have to work alongside the Tarot Avatara is the Earthcraft Oracle. And this one, I really like the way that the energies work together, and the artwork is almost similar. It has that very pronounced with the features and everything, and the bright bright colors. I like working with these together, and this deck is extremely grounding. And I always find that the Tarot Avatara is also an extremely grounding deck. So working with these two really did, this was probably one of the most grounding decks that I worked with this month, and I really needed that grounding energy. Okay, another deck that I worked with was the Baroque Tarot, and I did a full walkthrough on this deck, and this deck is absolutely stunning. And I did work with it alongside the Energy Arcology deck, which I'm familiar with, and I thought, okay, I'll work with it alongside this. Not only are the tones very similar, but because I feel comfortable working with the Energy Arcology, maybe that'll help ground me into the Baroque Tarot, because I thought that because I got this deck at the same time as I received the Ritual Tarot, that I hadn't given this deck a fair chance, and that is the reason why that I couldn't connect with this deck. But I'm still not feeling it, guys. It is a gorgeous deck. There is no reason why I shouldn't connect with this deck other than I just don't connect with the deck. There is something that seems cold, in a sense, to me about this deck. And I know that is part of the Baroque style, is almost this coldness to it, like this balance, but all I can feel is this unattachment and this inability to connect to this deck. It's beautiful in every single way. I mean, from the gilding to the cardstock, everything is gorgeous about it. So I will keep trying. I knocked the camera again. I'm so sorry. I will keep trying to work with this deck, but so far I just have not connected with that deck. I've been working with the Tarot Yohali Iteka, and if you guys know me, then you guys will know that this deck as well is one of my treasured decks. I just adore that deck. It is absolutely stunning in every single way. There is nothing about this deck that makes me doubt it. Nothing. I love this deck. It taps me into who I am, my culture, my heritage. Everything about this deck is absolutely beautiful. But you don't have to be of a Latin descent to connect with this deck. It is just beautiful. I love this deck. Now, one deck that I got in this month, which was a pre-order, and it came in, actually, it came in a little bit early, is the Mesoamerican Oracle cards by Erica Buenaflora. Now, she is a curandera, and she works with a lot of this type of medicine. And this is just really based on the Mayan astrology. So I have been working with this deck on and off because I do work with Mayan astrology every single day. I look up the energy of the day and work with it in that respect. And I even form my questions for myself for the day based on the Mayan astrology. So that's a deck that I have been working with as well. This is our last pairing, guys. This is it. Now, the Super Lunaris is one of these decks that, oh my goodness, it is one of those decks that took me by surprise, that I ordered it because it kept calling me, but I kept saying, it's really not what I like. But oh my goodness, it's not what I like. It's actually what I love. See, now to me, this deck has warmth, and I felt instantly connected to this deck. This deck is just beautiful. And anytime I see a deck that's slightly like this deck that interests me, oh my goodness, look at the High Priestess. There's a couple of decks where the High Priestess just really call me, and this is one of them. There's a couple of decks that I've seen that kind of have similar art style as this one, and I'm like, no, because it could never compare to the Super Lunaris. I absolutely love this deck. It is such a beautiful and wonderful deck, and now They have like the smaller, or I don't know if it's the same size, but it's like a linen edition, and it's a little bit more affordable. So that is something to consider. This deck I worked alongside, well, this deck here, the Modern Spiritual Latina Oracle. This is a small, independently published deck by Jasmine Alejandras Persad. Sorry about that. She goes by Eccentric Essa online. And this is a very small deck. I believe it's like 21 cards or something. There's really not a guidebook. There's really nothing really. It just tells you in some of the cards what to look for as far as some of the things that are in the card. So in card number 1, it's Olympia, garlic, lavender, palo santo, and sage. So knowing your medicine, then you kind of relate it to what those things represent. So I work with these two a lot together because I just love the way that they feed off of each other. And I do feel like the Super Lunaris to me is a very like healing and grounding deck as well. And actually the Super Lunaris is one of those decks that I pull when I need some comfort as well, because it doesn't have me guessing as to the meanings of the cards. I look at it and I know, and it's so expressive within the artwork. And then this just kind of pulls me in and grounds me down into who I am. I love these two together. And I've tried pairing the Super Lunaris up with other decks, but you know what? I really like these two together. So these are two, again, another two of my favorites. So July really, there was a couple of times where I stepped out of my comfort zone when it came to working with decks, but really, I really just wanted to be grounded and comfortable, and I wanted to feel safe. And so working with the decks that I worked with really helped me do that, with the exception of that one that I don't know, it could just be me, I'm not quite sure. This was a long one, I apologize, but that is my July 2022 roundup. Please like, please subscribe. I really appreciate hearing from you guys. So comments are so welcomed. I love interacting with you guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will see you later.